Okay. Yeah, good, Joshua. I agree. I like this. I like it a lot. Um, I think that's exactly how you use it. This is how journalists do it all the time. They go out, they already have the story developed, and they find that person. Now, could I tell you, I think a lot, like if I were Joshua as me, this is what I would do as an agent, right? As me.
Yep.
So, as you, as me, having my limitations and knowledge and things and being different than you, this is what I would go for you. If I was Joshua, I would probably reach out to that 420 gym because you already risk not being a peak performer. And if you go to Harborside or something, that's great for your grow industry article. Fantastic, right? Or an article on or like this. Notice I'm saying articles. I'll get into that. But I would start with some peak performance thing. I was even thinking some Renaissance guy would be great. Like this 420 gym guy, he does the gym, he does this. He's a financial genius, or at least pretty damn good, and is enhanced. And he's using pot in all these different levels that you're going to exemplify it later on in the book. You know, maybe for warriors discipline, you go with those climbers that go free roping. But if I were you, I would pick what would be my first opening chapter. And for me, I would go to the gym and see the owner of the gym and say, I'm writing this book. I want to do an article, da, 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 da. And they love that shit. And then when I talk to that guy, I'd be like, think about 2 other articles you're thinking about writing. Like, oh, I'm looking for a rock climber or skydiver, da, 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 you know? No.
You're talking about actual articles. You're talking about dual article chapter.
Dual.
Okay.
It's the same thing. And if you wrote it that way, you'd probably be pretty smart because, yeah, I would pick someone at the gym, hopefully that's a Renaissance person and sets up the rest of your book. Do you get that? Like, oh, they're into growing styles of this and this and this of the Northern California. Duh. Well, great, because you're going to have a grow chapter and what's wrong and right. This guy's kind of what's right, and you can show what's wrong. But even in the chapter, you can say, and with this one thing that you offer, you go further. And then I would look at your chapters and see who do you want in there. To me, what would be really fun to know by the end of this course is to have your table of contents maybe rattled a little bit so it's come back like it's in alignment with this book. And we pick which chapters do you want to have like extreme rock climbers? Which one do you want to have the extreme musician performer? And we know that by the end of this course, I would love to have one really great publishable chapter by the end of this course. 2, 3 would be ideal. But if we had your whole book lined up and we at least had one chapter that was like, this is the book, 2 or 3, I would prefer. And then I think we see if we can sell that. Like you may not make any money, but I think things like Dope Magazine, like you could eventually, when your course is ready, put that article as a chapter and submit it as an article. And if they don't do it, I'll get you at least Reality Sandwich or Elephant Journal, okay?
Yep.
And then you announce that to all your friends and you say, hi, my high-ticket courses have started. Boom. What do you think about that as a win for you?
Sure, yeah. I like the publicity. I like the progress, the dual usage, and I like the financial aspect of launching the high-ticket course.
Good. Now, what's the one practical thing I'm saying that you should probably do? I'm suggesting 2, actually.
Speaking to or maybe going on a field trip to the gym.
Mm-hmm.
One
take notes. Write down everything that's interesting. Because it will be the introduction, your establishing shot. Make this guy a character. This is your establishing shot of your book if it works right. If he's cool or she's cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's 1. Yeah, go on a field trip. Take notes. Bring your recorder. Get ready for an awesome experience. You put in 5 amazing journeys like that, it might make your whole book roll.
Totally, yeah. And then, also you were just wanting 1 to 3 completed publishable articles
by the end of the course, yeah. And the table of contents, we know exactly where you're going with this book. okay, I'm going to talk to these. Like, you need to start feeling into. For me, if I were you, and I'm not, step one would be reach out to that gym ASAP. And maybe that'll get you. I think you could use a couple practical steps this week. Yes, cry about, cry a lot. Poor guy. But then just set up this one thing, you know? And then I would go through, I'd get in the best mood ever, get high, play amazing music, see this book as your masterpiece of the next 5 years. Bring in your future self from 5 years from now and that willpower. And I want you to look at that table of contents and tell me what would be your absolute fuck yeah introduction adventure for that chapter. And how many chapters would you like to do that? So by next week, I want to see your perfect table of contents again with what the action adventure is to open up that concept. Got it?
Oh, so a different one for every chapter. That's cool.
Or, it's for the ones you want.
Sure.
Maybe you don't want to do
It could also
16.
be a continuation. It could be the same adventure topic, kind of spanning a few different relevant chapters.
I think that might be the smart way to do it. Like one adventure goes 3 chapters long or something.
Right. Yeah, I like that, and also that could kind of give me that that thing I was longing for, where there was like a continuing story that happened throughout. That could potentially fill that need.
Yeah, and it will make your book sellable versus unsellable. You giving me a fictitious story about a guy at a party smoking pot and the guy working out is very different than you going to the president of the 420 Olympics and doing a triathlon, because he'll then share that with all his networks. And I think you could just start thinking yourself a little bit as a pot and peak performance thought leader, and like a David Wolf of this. So like these articles, we got to learn how to write them tight, but I promise you can write better than some of these people writing articles. You just have to pay attention. And that's why maybe writing shorter chapters would work well for doubling his articles, or you can always cut a chapter down. But I suggest as a third homework for you to read things like Dope Magazine, Culture Magazine, and look for peak performance things. Look for these times where they go on adventures. And they never go as deep as you do. So you can see where they get a point through, but then you'll be like, I take the point from here to here now.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I've seen a lot of these. I've been reading them more than you. and they're honestly not always that good at action verbs, but they're good at telling the action.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Does that sound good?
Sounds great. I appreciate your shamanic adaptability here.
We got to work with where you're at. And honestly, it'll be a better book. If we had just written a book, it'd be so boring. We could still maybe sell it. Some people will pick up anything.
Can I tell you something interesting that actually I think I already told you this, but it's just so interesting to me that there's this 800-page book on cannabis magic coming out in April that's going to be very obscure, unpopular, probably unreadable, but it's just so interesting that such a thing is coming out this year, and it's like it feels like there's a big need just brewing in the collective consciousness that's looking for this book we're writing here.
I think you have a big need. You have such a hole if you choose to take this and you choose to actually bring in quality.
Totally. Readability, yeah.
Markability. That's a huge conversation we're having, is a markability thing. Way more than the electric Jesus, dude. I wish I was writing your book 5 years ago. All right, guys, let's go over this. Please turn off the mics if you can for a moment. We're going to get back to Harlan and Kelly and their chapters. But I just want to... Okay, so week 8.
Yeah, I'm just going to pee real quick.
Okay. Mastery mindset. Mastery stacking. List of 50 reasons only you can write the book. Why your book rules. So yeah, throughout the day you can do this. You can write it down. Someone is so not muted. Oh, it's Josh. Maybe it's me. I get it. You're muted, Harlan. You certainly are. Okay, mastery mindset. Things I'd say on that is like list all these reasons why you're the perfect person to write this book while no one else can. And throughout the day, I want you to be that author, be that avatar, that leader throughout the day. Start practicing your new life. Why not? You should. It's available to you. And situation looks really good to get you through this portal. I also want you to practice being rich. Now, Joshua has a potential like bestseller. He just does. And you'll see. You never know what catches fire and what doesn't. But my guess is when we get Josh's book out, and it might be a little while, but how many podcasts can I get Joshua on? Fitness to psychedelic to spiritual. Be rich. Practice being rich. Rich in your energy field. Kelly's multidimensional psychology. Wow, he could probably make a lot of money through courses and that such thing. Be rich. Be that leading edge professional pioneering a whole new field of psychology. Maybe one day they'll be doing documentaries on Kelly like they do with Freud and Jung. I bet you he does more good. Harlan, maybe he can go around seeing himself more as that Drumvalo, like Buckminster Fuller, like next visionary world guy thing, because that's what he's been all his life anyway. Might as well just step into this. And sure, maybe we said his is the $100,000 book, the $500,000 bestseller kind of thing. Well, he's a portal guy, so he could be rich in his energy field. There's no limit to divine richness. So mastery mindset, keep doing your 50 stacking. Don't stack reasons why you suck. You can do that when your book's published. Say reasons why you're awesome. Maybe you've been humble your whole life. Be a little bit of a braggart for the next 6 weeks, please. Feel good about yourself. Feel confident. No one else in the world can write what you're going to write. I promise you that. Be that avatar you already are. So walk around as Mr. Public Speaker, authority, TED talker. Dress nice. That's huge. Man, I'm sick and I still dress nice over here. And be rich. Just practice being rich. We'll sell your book a lot easier. Yeah.
I have this vision of Harlan going around and like consulting people on creating powerful sacred spaces in their different environments, and I just see a really big, high paid consulting potential there.
Oh yeah, I mean I see different types too, like the Hawaiian retreat center person type. Oh, let's get that Harlan out. I loved his 4-piece thing through Sounds True. I read his book. Scientists, folks, I could totally see it.
Yeah.
But Harlan needs to practice that yesterday, being the guy he already is. Now, me too. Why do we do this? I thought I'd mention, guys, like, why are you doing this? You're putting in the work, and now you're facing hours at a computer. Hopefully they're passionate hours, the golden hours. You're hungry. But I wanted to do some things that you really love about getting published, because people can forget about, like, why do we do this? There is some glory on the other side of this, guaranteed. And I know this. And your books have better chances to sell than mine. And yet I've experienced all these things. Becoming a known and respected leader in your niches, people know you. They read your book. It becomes a thing. A lot of people don't read your book, and they know who you are because of your book. That's cool. Multidimensional psychology, pot and peak performance, ascension tools and sacred technology. They're going to know you. I love, and you guys would probably love this, is podcasts, radios, online magazine, interviews, articles, like tons of podcast interviews. If some of you go through Inner Traditions, they don't always pay that well, but man, they hook you up with a lot of good media once you go through. The Huffington Post asked to do an interview with me. They did publish an article when the Electric Jesus came out, front page of the religion section. It's things like that, man. We're already talking about Joshua publishing an article. Kelly, you could probably publish an article. And that happens. They take excerpts of your book and publish them in places once. Like, there's a whole system for that, believe me, guys. And once again, Inner Traditions is actually really good at that. Book tour and after events. Oh my God, the book tour is the funnest thing ever. Um, I had full crowds, unknown, like a new guy, but your book has to lead the way for you. And people show up. It's just so fun. Like the Q&A is always my favorite. My favorite events of all time are definitely the Electric Jesus book tour, speaking of gigs. Nothing like it. And then the after party is so fun. Like often there's a signing afterwards and everyone just talks to you how they love your book. There'll be these social gatherings and they're just talking to you about your topics and the things you love and what you've been talking about. And you get to be kind of the belle of the ball and share these great ideas and get treated like a traveling Gandhi or something. It's fun. Allow yourself to have those experiences. Kelly's a married guy, but he might have a little nice flirtation. Same with Harlan. Joshua, I don't know, might get some cool dates out of it. It's cool. You're allowed that a little bit. It's okay. So the book tour and after events. As a shy person, I love it because people come to me and talk to me about the most interesting stuff in the world. The stuff I'm talking about. So as a shy person, I really value having a book out. Invitations to public speak, man, especially when my book was out, I got those all the time. I still get them, but not like during the days of that out. So, and you can do it ongoing. I kind of like to hide sometimes and do research and development and come back out. But that goes in everything from like the psychedelic conferences and psychology conferences for Kelly. I think Joshua could be a total TED talker if he keeps it a little mainstream, what he's doing. Harlan, gosh, how many domes in, how many domes at Burning Man could Harlan do talks at with this, and they'll love it. People will show up constantly and he can just take out chapter like titles and those can be different talks at Burning Man. I've done this. I've done 5 different talks at Burning Man with different topics of the Electric Jesus. Full houses every time. Except for one because they didn't put up the schedule. Classic Burning Man. Friends with other big wave colleagues in your field. That's real joy. I almost forgot about this, but the first time Alex and Gray invite you up to their house to do an event and be the featured speaker and get paid to do a workshop, and then Allison invites you over and she cooks you chicken and Alex draws you something cool on his notebook and gives you the personal tour and becomes your best friend overnight. That shit's fun. You guys probably have people in your own fields that are like that. But man, I've grown a whole list of really fun colleagues. Some feisty ones too, but I love those guys as well, and gals. So that's another fun reason. And there's just an energy around you. There's kind of a buzz with a book coming out. It's like, oh, that guy, the next level. It's your passport to everything. If I really had to say the thing, it's your passport to everything. And what does that passport allow? For you to share your genius to light up the world. Okay? You guys have any comments or thoughts? I just thought I might, remind you, it's fun. On the other side of this tunnel is a lot of great stuff. And once again, I just want to remind everyone of priorities, time frame. Find your priorities, where you're at, get in the right time frame with this. Kelly probably needs to pick up the pace even a little more. Joshua needs to get at that 420 gym within a week. Harlan, we got to get that first chapter rolling. All right. How to edit. Harlan, could you read this for me?
Back up and see big picture.
Right. It should be the picture. There's some good editing for you. Oh, no. Back up and see big picture. Yeah, I'm being keep going.
It works. I know that's kind of interesting. I've gone through a little bit of what I've written, and I go through and I remove stuff. I like to pull out extra words and make things tighter, so you don't need the. Anyway, is it cohesive, well structured, offer major significance? That's a good one. Yeah, it's especially my first chapter. I don't know if it's cohesive or well structured. Major significance, yeah. What's the major angle of the chapter? That's a good one to keep it all focused around the one major angle and not get too spread out.
Right. Like, Harlan, for example, if you're giving us your theory on vector blah, blah, blahs, you want to kind of start off, or like your theory on aqua blah 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 for the new way for that. That's the theme of it. You want that major angle. You want to myth bust some old stuff often. The first thing is back up and see big picture. Most importantly thing, did that chapter totally make sense? I get it. It was metaphorical. It was big. It had kind of an epicness to it. You nailed it. Is it cohesive, well structured? A plus B plus C plus D equals we cross the river. And it was interesting the whole way. There was major significance. You were not wasting my time. People try to write and they will waste your time, guys, constantly. So offer major significance with each sentence, really, almost. Get there. What's the major angle of the chapter? One thing. And that's with Harlan, I'm going to ask that. With Kelly, I'm going to ask that. All right, Harlan, can you continue?
Do they use action verbs? Do they? Who's they?
You.
Are sentences alive with their voice?
With your voice. Sorry, I should say your. Are your sentences alive with your voice? Do you use action verbs? Do they have a flow? Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Are there gunky sentences, run-ons, and past present tense issues? Does it have a killer opening and closing? Ooh, that last one, because that's my first chapter. I think the opening's pretty good. And anyway, I'm not done writing it, so I just got to come up with a good closing for it. Still plugging away.
I loved hearing that you think the opening's pretty good, though. That makes me happy.
Yeah. And I think, well, I had to write it twice, so.
But you get a sense that we're asking for you to write an interesting opening and an interesting closing. Most writers will never get this. They'll try to write and they'll never understand. Be kind to your reader. They're so mean to their readers. Oh, trust me. Have a fun opening, have a fun close. Jesus Christ. Okay. Do they use action verbs? Are they, yeah, we got that flow. We're talking energy. Your sentence have an energy. Are there gunky sentences? Kelly's been working with gunky sentences a bit with the academic stuff. Run-ons. Past, present tense, generally stick with one. Usually past is easier. All right. Notice if you do it. Oh, I went from the past, I went to the present. You can do it here or there a little bit, but I think pretty much the Electric Jesus I wrote in the past the entire time. All right. With the past tense, was versus is. Although we went engaged versus engage. Action verb. Does it have, and for Joshua, like I told him, he's got to write in his homework 50 extreme action verbs. Next level stuff. Does it have a killer opening and closing? Yep. How to edit. Do the paragraphs transition? A plus B plus C? 5-paragraph essay stuff, but interesting. Does it have a killer? Oh, we get that already. And we're good. All right, that's our little show and tell, guys. Pretty good? Any questions?
Well, you have to write stuff so that you can edit it.
All right, Harlan, you're next. Do you want to throw it up in the chat or you want to share your screen?
I can either way. What's best?
Let's share your scrreen.
Okay,
now,
I've got it ready to go.
I'm going to stop my share. Can you just do?
Let's see what happens. Down at the bottom, share screen. Let's see what I have two screens, so let's see what happens.
All right.
That. Oh, I see. It's asking me which screen to share. So, wow, you can share all kinds of screens. You can even have a whiteboard. But here it is, desktop number 2.
Desktop number 2. All right, let's see how it does.
I clicked on it. I'm clicking on it, but what's going on? Oh, and yes, what happened? What do you guys
It's
see?
up. It's up. Could you make it a little bit bigger and go to the top, please?
Well, that's not big. You want me to go bigger than 125?
Yeah, because actually, could you go 1.5 space?
Oh, 1.5 space.
No, I like it like this. I like it. Do 150. 150%. I like it tight. That's what she said.
That's what he said.
I know. Well, I don't know. It depends on your flavors.
Look, how is Buddhism has 2 Ds, huh? Yes. Okay.
Okay.
Why is unmanifested not a word?
Oh, I don't care. I have a bigger issue with your first sentence. What's my problem with your first sentence?
Oh, God. I don't know. Tell me. I'm not a writer.
No.
That's why I'm paying you the big bucks.
The universe vibrates energy.
There we go. Joshua's been through the rigmarole. Did you hear that, Harlan?
He said the universe he edited it. I don't know.
The universe vibrates. The universe vibrates endless energy. You know, it's not. It's made up because you're using an inactive verb to start your book.
Oh,
I said don't do that. And there it is in the sentence.
It's an inactive verb.
Yep, it's a passive. Is made. Give me an active sentence that's really exciting, that engages me.
How about just take that out? I don't know. It's getting. That's not great. That's not a good sentence, though. But so anyway, so no is made. Okay. See, yeah. I guess I get that point, but if I would have known that, I wouldn't have done that in the first place. And now I've got nothing for a first sentence.
It's okay. It's okay. Now, how many weeks have I been talking about active verbs, guys?
I don't remember it at all. I don't even know what an active.
Kelly, how many weeks have I been talking about active verbs?
Maybe 4.
Oh
Yep.
God! Well, I missed all that, and I was even going to say something when you were talking about that earlier to understand.
It's okay though. It's okay because this is important. But see, if you just rearrange this with an active verb, there's different ways to do it, dude. From subatomic particles, the building blocks of matter, to electromagnetic radiation, you know, I get what you're saying. The universe is entirely vibrating energy. There could be another way to say it that's a little more like dynamic, but a little more maestro, you know? Sound vibration and the nature of reality. Well, let's not get stuck. Harlan, read. I want to see the content of this.
All right. Well, what you just read, the second sentence, everything you perceive or detect is vibrating in some way or another. Sound is the physical pressure waves that are transmitted through matter. Even in space, which is not a perfect vacuum, there are particles that are vibrating with sound. Here on Earth, as humans with ears, we take sound for granted, but it's through speech, singing, music, and other noises that we come to know a large part of our world. Hearing is the first sense to develop in human embryos. The fact that spoken words can convey so much meaning is also taken for granted, but if you stop to think about it, it is quite a magical miracle. Let's keep going here. Sound is the original creative force. In the Bible, John 1:1, it is written.
Every moment, the universe vibrates. I almost want to say like vibrates miracles. Isn't that cool?
No, that sounds ridiculous. At the moment, I don't even want to put time. I want the big picture. It's just like, the fact that, just to start off, the nature of reality is, vibration of all forms. So
no matter where you are across the whole universe, you'll find one thing, But it just, you know what? The universe is tired. I think you need to just restructure using the active verbs.
I'll come up with it. Don't worry. I'm going to work. I'll come up with a killer opening sentence. It'll take some brainstorming, I suppose. Let's just, I guess, look at, I get it why that was bad. That was a good lesson. I understand that the opening should be really killer. And so now, this chapter is only 3 pages so far.
Yeah, but you know what? It's starting off with good information, but it needs to be a little less information, a little more like, Carl Sagan. Like, put a little magic, put a little storytelling here, and just use your active verbs. There is a little concern I have, Harlan, just a small one, of jumping. I would call this logical jumping. Could you go up? Something cognitive dissonance we've talked about with Joshua a little bit. Yours is a little less A plus C equals Q. It's more like, oh, now I'm skipping to this thing and dropping this real quick. And that was what your lecture was a lot. Oh, here's this thing. Now we're on to the next. Here, you got to go in for a paragraph or something. Here on Earth, as humans with ears. Here on Earth, as humans with ears. That's pretty funny. Like, sound this stuff out and see. Is this how Harlan talks? Like,
I know it's not.
did you talk into a recorder?
No.
I want you to do that. That's your homework. You gotta outline and talk into a recorder for next class. We take sound for granted, but it's through speech, singing, music, and other noises that we come to know a large part of our world. I really like that. Hearing is the first sense to develop in embryos. Passive tense. In embryos, hearing develops da-da-da. You see? I took out the is.
Where is the first? Why is that? Why is it the past tense?
It's not an active verb. Is not
Hearing
an active
what
verb.
was would be hearing it.
No, was is in past tense. Kelly, can you help him with this?
He's not saying he's saying passive.
Oh, passive.
So Harlan, all your R's and is's, Johnny's saying don't use that. Rather than use that, for example, your first sentence, it could be the universe, like Josh said, vibrates endless energy or something like that, rather than is. And then the next sentence from Subatomic Particles, which are.
So is and R's.
Is and are, things like that, yeah.
So hearing is the first sense to develop in human embryos. That's not good to have the is.
No, in human.
He wants you to take out the is's and r's.
In human embryos, hearing develops first. Hearing, yes, all is's and was, generally speaking, and you can have a few, but most of the time, I want you to have the thesaurus up and find an active verb that's better. And it will clean your language up. By next week, if you do this one thing, Harlan, and you commit, but you got to commit. And Kelly's committed. It will clean most of this problem up. Because you're doing pretty good, to be honest. But you do jump a little bit. Here on earth, ears, we take sound. Hearing is the first. The fact that spoken words can convey so much meaning is also, but if you stop to think about it, is quite sound. Maybe you're jumping a little bit. I want you to focus on cohesion as you clean these sentences up with active verbs. But it's not bad, but you need to start a little more dynamo. Can you keep reading?
Sound is the original creative force. In the Bible, John 1:1, it is written, in the beginning was the Word. The Vedas describe the sound Om as the unmanifested state of Brahman that became the countless variations of material and metaphysical life. Sikhism, the spiritual teachings of Islam, state that God created the universe with one sound.
Could be Sufism, Harlan, not Sikhism.
Sufism. You're right.
Yeah,
and actually,
Sikhism is a different religion.
Yeah, how did I get that? You're right. I know Sufism. I must have just. Yeah, you're right. Thank you so much. That's a weird cross because Sikhs are Hindu.
No, Sikhs are their own religion. Yeah. So, yeah, just it's all good.
Yeah, I don't know where it's. Sikhs is there. Yeah, good one.
Sikhism started about 600 years ago with Guru Nanak.
Yeah. Creation stories from all parts of the world share this view that the universe was created by sound. The Aborigines of Australia talk about song lines, the paths the creator beings used in the dreamtime to create the world. Now this is where I'm jumping. There are scientific studies of how sound was a crucial, is a crucial element in the creation. But it was because the studies show, billions of years ago were the studies. So I don't know if that makes sense or not. There's these anyway. In the creation of the universe, you see, I'm really jumping around. Cymatics studies how sound waves can create geometric order by vibrating sand on plates with certain frequencies. But this is just a two-dimensional example of how sound creates geometric patterns and order in three-dimensional space.
Okay, can we go down 2 more paragraphs? I'm just going to read. Everyone can just read. Sound.
Should we read ourselves?
I can read real quick. Sound has played a key role in spiritual and religious practices since the dawn of human civilization. Wow, it's almost not passive. Primitive ancient cultures. Whoa, we lost it.
What? Oh, you did?
Oh, no, there we go. Okay, primitive ancient cultures from every corner of the planet have used drums, passive again, and rattles in their ceremonies as well as voice. These are key elements of shamanic ancient Hindu teachings from Indian mantras to chant to meditation. Buddhism is, I see. I see what you're doing. And now you're jumping, and there's no magic. You're like
Well,
spewing a bunch of stuff, and now we're in you playing bass guitar. Like, you need to lead us in like the wizard here. Like, can we just go back up? I understand these concepts could be
no,
spanned.
yeah, it's definitely not structured well. You know, and especially that jump from outline, you know, how sound is used globally and by humans, and then into my story. That's not a good flow there. I get that, and yeah,
If I could describe your voice right now, it's like an autistic scientist that's spraying everywhere. Like it's a
yeah,
it's a
yeah. I
sprinkler
know.
hose of autism scientist. But that's a good start. You know what I mean? That's a good start. Okay, so Harlan, for me, the most interesting thing in this whole thing was, oh my God. And you're getting it. Like, you need to tell this stuff, but you need to go more in depth and bring us there into our emotions and a personal experience with this stuff. You can't drop one line, oh, and here the ear, and here's this. Like, God, couldn't you give me 2 paragraphs on how sound works with the ear and what the coolest scientist on the planet said about it? And you know, go there.
Right.
You're not going deep. So this is how
So of course, okay, yeah. So my feeling is I need to go back through this and elaborate and flesh it out. Like this is almost, you know, more than an outline, but this is getting all the different ideas and concepts down. Boom, 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 and they need to be elaborated and flowed and bring in the magic and make it more readable than just these one sentence points.
yeah, bring in your investigation. Tell me about the coolest scientist on the planet. What uh, some ancient mystic did with that formula, you know? Give me something cool. And I think you have something really cool here. If I could create your book, and you might be interested in listening to me, because there's enough of a disaster here to do that. I would start with this. The Aborigines of Australia talk about song lines, the past the creator beings used in dream time to create the world. And I would go into about 3 paragraphs about sound and song lines and stories and creation and what those guys did. And then you can
Well,
bring, because that's interesting, man. I've never heard of song lines by the Aboriginals, and I thought I'd heard of everything.
oh wow. And yeah, okay, but you know, I don't know about 3 paragraphs, but definitely a paragraph I could see because it's just touching on this explanation of, you know, sound being the nature of reality.
But you could
And
explain the whole cosmos through that idea. You could explain like 3 paragraphs of what you're trying to explain through the mythology of the Aboriginals. And then that gives us something to hold on to. There's nothing to hold on to in your story. When we read Kelly, you're going to see a woman walks in an office and there's one story that she really tells. So hopefully you shortened it. And we have something to hold on to. I need that story to hold on to. Maybe it's just a paragraph, but I think it might be, you might be a guy that needs to practice 2 to 3. You know, do you know enough? Could you like go online and read some of that stuff and see what
so that's how I'm doing a lot of this work is you know, going you know, obviously it's a pretty amazing, you know, to have Google and the internet at your fingertips as you're writing, and you come up with one thing and you just Google, you read about it, you get some information, and you know, that's what I've been doing a lot in this chapter. So yeah.
Yeah. So in the Electric Jesus, I had to synthesize all Christian texts and Gnostic texts, which are huge, and Joseph Campbell with my own personal journey, okay, in a way that made sense. And one way I did that is I gave moments, like when I talk about the Nag Hammadi library, I give this establishing shot of like just at the tail end of World War II, when the world was going through this. In Egypt, there's two like camel guys, you know, I don't know how to describe them out there, and they find a weird jar, this earthen jar, and you know, I explain what the jar is and what the landscape is, and they find this cave, and in the cave, you know, and they break the jar open, and in are these scrolls, and they bring the scrolls home, and they don't know they're totally valuable, and their mom actually burns up like a bunch of them in the fire, and this turns out to be the Nag Hammadi library. And then I explain, like, I'll just explain one concept of it in the rest of that chapter, which was the creation stories of the Gnostics. I think you could give us a bigger sweep in the beginning and go deeper. Perhaps there's another story with sound vibration that interests you more than the Australians and the Aboriginals and storylines, but I think that's one of the coolest things I've ever fucking heard. And it sounds like an ancient technology, ascension tool. Do you have something else that you would rather front load the book with?
You know, like obviously here I'm all over the place. I'm getting, we see after that, even the next paragraph is very similar, talking about, all the different religions, all the different things that use sound in their chants and this and that. And then of course I jump. It's like I should even just, put a space there. It's so much of a jump from this whole section to then this section, which is about my work in creating my sound device and how I use it. And it goes all the way through until here, where then that's kind of like a section just on my quasar wave, my work, my background, my stuff. And then here I'm starting to jump back into modern times of talking about Jonathan Goldman and Tom Kenyon and other sound healers that using sound in modern times, for...
See, I like that. If you started with the Aboriginals and you had some of that and you ended with Tom Kenyon and you gave me the science and why it works and why it's powerful and the results I get when I do this and the results I get when I don't, when bad sounds or,
Well, especially the two people, I only have these two tiny little paragraphs or few sentences on Jonathan Goldman and Tom Kenyon. And what's interesting about both of them is that they're both scientists and work on a very esoteric, metaphysical, and spiritual level. Like they merge these two things. They have a foot in both worlds, and that's to me really important.
Yeah, and you might need to find an interesting story with one of them to relate that. You're not thinking about the reader. You're doing a book report, and you want to get these ideas out, and you put it, but you need to tell a story, and that's why I'm suggesting you start with a unique story. And you're honestly, in some ways, you're doing this a little bit right. Like I've read a ton of books. In this, it's the Om. In this, it's this. You can do a little bit of that, but go deeper. Pick one or two ideas and go deep into that. Pick the science and show me how it works. I need to know the science. But what do you think about the idea of learning more about the storylines and using that as your framework to explain how sound works, to how the universe works, how we use creation and manifestation? I think that would be good, because otherwise it's so hard to get into the universe and energy and vibration. I've read so many books. In the beginning was sound, the logos, the Om. But I think if you did this with this story, like the storylines, I've never. Have you seen anyone else do that before, Harlan?
What?
Aboriginal storylines.
There's song lines.
Song lines. Have you seen him open a book like that before?
No, but I don't feel like that is key to this. Actually, what's coming to mind, and it's funny, while I was writing this, I was listening to some other talk, and and I'm constantly listening to things that all relate to this. And I read in some other book, and I haven't touched on this, but then they're talking about it too, is that dolphins and whales, make these sounds, and that the sounds that they're making in the oceans, especially whales, are key to bringing our whole world into existence and cohesion and harmony. And I haven't mentioned anything about those things in there. And that, to me, would almost be like a key to elaborate on. The Aboriginals and the song lines that the creator beings did is similar, but it's almost like the whales are still doing that. The whales still make these sounds and travel on these lines across the earth. And in some ways they, relate to this, the same thing, but they're actually doing it. It's not just an idea or concept. It's actually happening.
See, if you gave me a global scale on that and gave me a story of how they migrate and what that migration looks like and how intense and amazing it is and what the vocals are doing and how it's been ancient and it goes back
to... That's the thing is scientifically, there's no study or acknowledgement that the sounds that whales make have anything to do with sustaining life and creating the world. It's definitely from a metaphysical, and spiritual understanding that this is recognized. But
okay. Well, you can start that.
Scientifically, that whales do sing and make sounds.
Okay.
It's just that we don't understand that scientifically that this is a key to.
Well, you could start with science though of whales and like what they're noticing in harmonics in this. I think that would help you, and then you get into the metaphysical. You've earned that, and you talk about this extreme migration journey they do with those sounds. So we get this global ley line, oceanic perspective. You got to learn to tell a story a little bit. You know how, but you can't just like throw idea, throw idea, throw idea, throw idea. It's like
Yeah. Well,
let's
we'll
establish
see if I can learn. I definitely. My style is more just that throwing out ideas, like this, bits of information. Being able to be a writer and tell a cohesive, engaging, magical story, that's something, that I would need to develop or figure out.
Yeah, you're developing it now. And you can do it with Kelly. You see it when Kelly screws up. You can do it with your own writing too. You're not having any clarity.
Obviously this is going to take, this is like learning to ride a bike or play a musical instrument or something. And it's not like, boom, all of a sudden I'm going to learn how to be this, tell these stories with flow. This is one of the most daunting aspects of this, writing this book. I could definitely write this book in my crappy style of just getting all the ideas I have in my head out and getting that done. I don't know if I'll ever be able to learn how to make it an engaging, flowing story that we're talking about now, and that's a skill.
Well, how about just a 90% pretty darn good?
Yeah, that's what I'm going to work.
90% pretty darn good, and you don't need to make this the masterpiece.
I know.
You need to make it readable.
I understand that that's the part that I need to work on, and the only way I'm going to do it is by doing it, and I haven't even done it. All I've done so far is write down these ideas, and I haven't made it into this, engaging, readable, going into depth.
Okay. So Harlan, I can help you, but you have to be coachable. So can you just listen for a moment, okay? Because I think you're also experiencing this because you didn't do your homework fully. And your homework wasn't just doing the hours. Did you read the Emerald Modem before you started writing? He's a little bit like you, like he needs to tell stories a little more, but he doesn't suffer like you do from this. Did you read those to practice style before you went in and started writing? Okay, I want you to read that book and cheat. I think it'll help you. See how he writes, because he does this stuff, and he doesn't go into extreme detail. He really probably could more, but he goes into enough. I think you can write a better book than him. Please, up him. But I want you to, this is your first homework. Actually, it's not to do that. I want you to back up and kind of outline. If you want to do dolphins, great. Do dolphins. I think it could be a little cheesy, dolphins or whales. So you got to own it and make it cool. Make it epic. Don't make it like, oh, dolphins and rainbows and shit, okay? If you want to do that instead of ancestral stories or songs, I'm fine. Put the whole global cosmos into that story of migration and sounds and the metaphysicalness that you're going to explain through that, and open up your story that way. I want you to take outline of how this is going to work before you write anything. And then I want you to read the Emerald Modem for a bit. Get the rhythm, get that. And I want you to go back and look at your ideas and write your book. That's what I want you to do. Okay? All right. I think if we cheat this. Now, action verbs, you got to remember, is, if you see is, was, has, look at that sentence, because you probably could just put in a awesome verb. You will have to find a way to rearrange that sentence, and there are a lot of ways to do it. Yes, you have to be creative. Sometimes you have to combine sentences, move part of a sentence, get rid of one. But Kelly's learning this, and I think he's learning it works. So that'll clean up all. If you just do those two things, one, you got to outline and find your big ideas and go deeper. Two, we're going to read the Emerald Portal before you write. And three, remember to have your thesaurus up and use action verbs at all times. If you start writing in all this passive, it's going to stay without energy. Okay? And you'll see it. You'll start to see it. Is, was, has, all these lame verbs. Sound good?
Yeah, I'm going to work on it as best I can. It's definitely yes.
Okay, you have 1 week to give us your upgraded chapter, and I think you'll do pretty well. I think we'll have a good opening. All right, Nice work, Harlan. It's good. My problem was you weren't giving me any material at all. Now we can at least work with something and start going. Okay.
Yeah, and I got a little. I actually started the second. This is the second chapter. I started the third chapter also. Got about a page into that too. I'm jumping around a little.
I want you to start tracking your really passionate big ideas so you can go a little deeper in for at least 3 or 4 paragraphs and give us those concepts that are going to change our lives. All right? All right. Kelly, you're up. Oh, we'll see. You said 90%, huh?
We'll see.
God, what's the time, boys? How are we doing?
It's 12:15.
Oh, we're on time. We just do an epic Thursday. Thanks for showing up every week, guys. Do you mind if I just hit the bathroom for a second, Kelly?
Yeah, go for it.
I'm gonna get a drink.
Harlan can look for passive verbs while I'm gone.
I guess I should shut off my screen. Everyone's gonna break here. The screen.
Yeah, you have to unshare it. Otherwise, I can't.
I know, but I'm looking. It's kind of weird because now I don't see where my screen sharing button is.
Move your cursor over the Zoom window, and then it should be on the bottom.
I know, but that's why my Zoom window is gone. I only have the little video window.
Go up to the little video window and then click on the. There's a little screen thing.
I'm looking at. I clicked on the full one, and now it just makes your face right here. Hold on, I'm working on it. Chat, pin video. No.
All right, Kelly, throw it down.
I can't share. I can't share.
Harlan. I can't find my Zoom. This is crazy. Hold on. I know. I'm going to hit escape. Does that help? No. So here it is. I got it. It moved to my other screen.
Oh, there we go.
I know.
Thanks.
Okay, that worked.
All right, Kelly. You said 90%.
All right.
Okay, for next time, you have to put space between that title and the below. I can.
Okay.
There we go. Yeah. Could you even put chapter 1 as its own thing?
What do you mean? Its own page?
Like, go up to chapter 1.
This thing?
Yeah, and on the right of it. No, just the right of chapter 1. Do you see chapter 1 and it's got a colon? Go there.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, hit return. Could you hit return after spirits there?
After spirits?
Or I mean before spirits, before the S in spirits, the first S.
That? Maybe there should be a dash or something. Something like that.
I'm fine with that. Okay, let's go down.
So I took out a lot of my reflection type stuff.
I would change bashfully to nervously.
Nervously. Okay.
Bashfully is kind of a weird. You see, you have these tonal like things that make me a little nervous. She held her arms stiffly on her lap, and her whole body pulled into her core. What are you trying to say?
Just kind of like hunched over, you know.
Okay, she held her arms stiffly and hunched over, hunched over.
Her lap.
Hunched over her belly. Yeah. Okay, this is the shit I'm talking about, dude.
All right.
I need you to see this. Her skin, noticeably pale, appeared more vibrant on her face. You are not a poet. You are a psychologist. How do we say this in a way that's like just explains who she is? Okay, an attractive English woman in her mid. Emma pulled her brown hair away from her over her right shoulder nervously. Okay, an attractive English woman in her mid-30s. Emma held her arm stiffly on her lap and hunched over her belly. What about that? I wish
Take out that first part.
Yeah, man, just like get to the point. Attractive Emma held her arm stiffly on her lap and hunched over. Slightly. How about that?
Hunched over slightly.
Yeah, good. Now this is real. Write like a psychologist, not like a sleazy guy. Or you're like a poet or a courtesan. Like, I don't know what you're doing there. Her skin noticeably pale. Okay, fix that. What do I call this? I'm gonna call it the naughty poet, or like the bad. Like, if you write like this, you're gonna have to fix it.
Skin.
It's like the naughty boy or something.
I don't know. That's why I don't know this stuff.
Her hazel eyes. Okay, how about this? An attractive English woman in her mid-30s. Emma held her arm stiffly on her lance and humped over slightly. Period. Take out everything else. You're trying to say too much. How can I help you? How about this? I think you have them answering a little too directly and stiffly sometimes.
Okay.
You remember I was kind of saying you're like an 8th grader, right?
Mm.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Like, be a little more like not so direct. Like they don't have to answer the question directly. Okay, so how can I help you, Emma? I ask. Oh, she looked at the ground. Or, maybe something like this. How can I help you, Emma? I've suffered, I've suffered from anxiety and depression for years. Since I was 6, or whatever, for the last 5 years, or whenever the ghost thing happened.
Mm-hmm.
See, because you're just, how can I help you? I want your help. Do you know what I mean? A little stiff.
Yeah.
See, like your work has gone through we know the title, we got some stuff, we now have hacked it, like we've really hacked the text into the right place, and now this is tonal refinement. Well, why don't you just say I've?
Where? Oh, here?
Well, I've. Well,
Oh,
I've. There you go. Colloquial. Well, I've suffered from anxiety depression for the past 9 years. Good. I fear people judging me and labeling me. Her English accent quivered as she revealed. Okay, this is another one. Her English accent quivered. Harlan, can you help me?
This is exactly where it was last week, where on one hand it's writing it like a novel and engaging you and making it fun to read, but now you're being, no, this is a psychologist writing, just make it concise. Is that the point you're trying to say?
Yes! Like her English accent quivered as, her He's like,
I think in this case we kind of let Kelly be this, to make it. I don't know. I like it. It makes it more engaging, like a novel, and it's fun to read. He doesn't have to be a dry psychologist. So
I agree. But this is what I'm talking about. I don't even mind her English accent quivered. That's very poetic for a psychologist, but that's fine. It's as she revealed what she held inside. That doesn't add any value.
Right.
Her English
As she
accent,
spoke. So it's just as she spoke. That's all. Yeah, there you go. Get rid of revealed what she held inside. That's too much. As she spoke, you got a little bit of your novelist.
Well, that's more psychologist speak, though.
Yeah, I know it is, but it's okay because you got her quivering accent. That's the novel, and as she spoke. Otherwise, you would have just said, "Yeah." Anyway, okay.
as she spoke,
You got to get a stick of balance.
You got to balance this, bro. I thought you fixed this. You get an 85 on your just for this alone. You get an 85. You said 90, but god damn it, man. We are gonna. This is.
I told you, man. I don't know. I don't know how to edit this because I'm not sure.
Well, but pay attention because there are 3 of us here, and this is the time to learn.
All right.
Because if you nail this thing, you may have a book, but you got to nail it. Don't say I don't. Say I'm getting it.
All right.
All right. Your punishment is to read that next line.
At night, I obsess over what my coworkers think of me at the tech company I work at and whether I'm doing a good job. Because of that, I can't sleep and just lay awake at night thinking that they don't like me.
I love it. Ready? So, no, go, stay there. Harlan, I want to show you what Kelly's doing that you're probably not noticing, but him and I are fucking noticing. Did we lose Joshua? No, he just doesn't have the video on. Okay. Well, I've suffered from anxiety and depression for the past 9 years. Active verb. I fear people judging me and labeling me. Active. You're no longer having clunky sentences except for kind of your flourishes of poetry. Her English accent quivered as she spoke quietly, and now it's calmed down. This is right. This is good. This is 90%. At night, I obsess, another active verb, over what my coworkers think of me at the tech company, and I work at, and whether I'm doing a good job. Because of that, I can't sleep and just lay awake at night worrying they hate me. I think it needs stronger. You're getting better at putting extreme results, but you need more. Worrying they hate me. And see, you're getting into that individual fear, the specific way it affects her.
Yeah.
Watching the fan at night, wondering what the fuck I'm going to do, Mm-hmm. That is a 90% paragraph. Let's see if we can get more of these. Just go through. Okay, can you read?
Emma worked at a tech company as a marketing manager in Silicon Valley. However, she constantly worried how people viewed her. She overanalyzed all her interactions and agonized over the meaning of her coworkers' behaviors. Was her coworker coming on to her? Did another dislike her for being too vocal? She could not stop the flow of these incessant thoughts, which often ate into her time for sleep.
Ate into her time of sleep. Active verbs, 90%. Was her hold on. Could you go up a paragraph 2? This is just for my own. Okay, stop. Emma worked as a marketing manager. I just needed. Good. You didn't? No. This is where I think you made a little error. Okay? Pay attention. At night, I obsess over my coworkers think of me at work.
Where?
And whether I'm doing a good job. Above. Don't waste my time. And I'm going to show you how you're wasting my time with details. At night, I obsess over what my coworkers think of me.
Oh, yeah.
And whether I'm doing a good job. Do you even need it at work?
No, because I explain it in the next paragraph.
See, you're learning to take rid of the bullshit now. This is a really good step in editing. You got to close this shit down now. At night, I obsess over what my coworkers think of me and whether I'm doing a good job. Because of that, I can't sleep and I just lay awake at night worrying they hate me. Good, stronger now. Your quotation marks are going the wrong way.
Oh, yeah.
Emma worked at a tech company. And see, there we get the temp company. You got to see when you're doing that shit. Do you see it now?
Say it again?
When you do that shit, when you repeat stuff that doesn't need to be repeated.
Oh, I repeated the tech company?
Yeah, and it just made a clunky sentence, and now we have a lot stronger dialogue above.
Yeah. I see.
So that's 90% mastery, and we're going to give that once you fix that that quotation thing, we'll give you 90% on
You
that.
know, I'm hitting the end quotation and it does the same thing.
Go back. You have a space. Go back one space.
You got to get rid of the space.
Just go back one. There. Now hit it. You got it.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Different ones don't even have it.
Yeah.
Okay, could you read the next one?
Emma also identified as a highly sensitive person. She told me how other people's energies would overwhelm her and how she constantly felt violated energetically. She felt no boundary between herself and others. Scared rather than battle with others' energies, she often hid in her house for safety when she did not need to be around others. She often wondered what was wrong with her and why she could not get along with others like her coworkers and peers. Stuck in her house, her thoughts tormented her, telling her she would be forever broken.
That's good. Now stop. Go back up a little bit, but okay, good. Stop. Her thoughts. She stuck in her one-bedroom apartment. Her thoughts torment. You know, you could be a little more specific. Make her like however you want her to be. Stuck in her Victorian. You know, it just gives you a little bit, but you don't want too much. I would prefer you don't put weird adjectives. I'd actually rather have house than some weird thing. Or one-bedroom apartment, yeah. But that gives us an idea of where she's at too.
Okay. Yeah.
Just an idea. Now, one thing I just love when you slip into this psychologist voice, we'll call it, Emma worked at a tech company, is you're giving us real value about what's going wrong. And really what it is it's what's going wrong with the people who are reading this book.
Mm-hmm.
We all have either are Emma or no Emma. So
Yeah.
you are going to be highlighting that. If it's an addiction thing, go there. Go deep, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
And you really give us this type of person. Like, honestly, if I were to do a book like this, I would probably have there are 5 personality types in bioenergetics. I would probably sign 5 bioenergetic characters to serve. And I could just think of clients I had. So maybe you have a next client that's not so highly, it's aggressive and dominant guy, or, you know, you could have Emma's this kind of, she would be the schizoid type in bioenergetics. Yeah. And I love that we get her character. I think you do a good job of describing her and what's significant to us as a reader. You're not giving us bullshit.
Yeah.
And you're using active verbs throughout, Kelly. Thank you. Thank you for understanding this. Doesn't it feel like it's coming together now because of that?
Yeah, definitely.
Emma also identified as a highly sensitive person. You didn't say she is a highly sensitive person. She identified. That's how you do that shit. She told me how other people's energies would overwhelm. This is being coachable. Her, and how she constantly felt violated energetically. Now here, I thought you could say felt violated energetically by ... or you could just leave it. By annoying friends, or
it's kind of global for her. So.
And I think it's okay to leave it, because you know why? You've earned it with the details of other things.
Gotcha. Okay.
Because she's real to me now.
Yeah.
Scared rather than battle with other energies, she often hid in her house, scared for safety. There's just something weird and awkward about that sentence, I think. Make sure you know it when it's like that sentence. Johnny would not approve of a 90%. You want mastery in these. She often hid in her house. In Heartland, I suggest really pay, like, you guys wondered about action verbs and how to use them. He's gotten the download. And this is what happens to writing once you finally, it's just like, it's a tool, you use it, it works the rest of your life. I was reading, honestly, Pot and Peak performance articles that I thought if Joshua learned to use active verbs, he would be writing better than most of them. Okay, rather than battle with other energies, she often hid in her house scared for safety. She often wondered what was wrong with her and she could not get along with. She often wondered what was wrong with her and why she could not get. That's fine. Keep going. This is my favorite line in the whole thing, because it's the extreme cost of not doing multidimensional psychology. And man, there are a lot of fucked up people in the world. Stuck in her one-bedroom apartment, her thoughts tormented her, telling her she would be forever broken. Perfect. Coup d'etat. All All right, Kelly. I think you got less sloppy as you went down. Can you scroll all the way up and let's just read as much as we can? This is starting to work for me.
Okay.
I mean, let's go down
Go down. Okay.
to where we were at, and let's read as much as we can and see if we can just knock this off. Everyone pay attention to the verbs and how it fixes sentence. It's fixing the sentence structure for you, isn't it?
Yeah, totally.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Read.
How long have you been having these difficulties? Well, you see, something happened to me 9 years ago, but I don't think you'd understand. Shrinks don't understand. I'm afraid you'll think I'm crazy. A psychologist told me that I'm crazy. Her tone shifted from shy and bashful to direct and slightly confrontational as she looked directly at me for clues of how I'd respond.
Okay, I like that a lot. I think you're nailing psychologist speak, guy. I welcome Harlan and Joshua to put in any amendments, things that don't work, things that would upgrade. My only thought to that is I think you could put shrinks don't understand in italics because I think that's the point of the fucking book.
Yeah.
Like shout it at the 8-year-olds out there, you know? Yeah, you're miserable because shrinks don't understand. Okay, keep going. 90.
I assured her that I wanted to be of help and took this very seriously. I explained that I highly value non-judgment as a therapist and aim to understand and empathize with clients rather than label them. Satisfied with my description of my view of therapy, Emma began to reveal her story.
Satisfied, Emma began to reveal her story.
Gotcha.
I like the rest of it, though. You're doing this pretty well. You're navigating this as well as Brian Weiss, I think.
Yeah, I modeled it off of
I
that.
assured her, took, explained, aim, empathize, began to reveal. That's okay. But the rest really good. You know, you can have began to reveal because you nailed all those other verbs. Well done. Does it
I
feel
could
like
just put revealed. What do you think?
Yeah, revealed her story. Isn't that better? Allen Ginsberg would recommend the same goddamn thing, by the way. He was a huge one about don't wasting time.
Yeah.
All right, Kelly, we're rolling, man. And you know, I want to say to Joshua, you can. I recommend everyone really stay on for this. But if you had to go or this is a little boring, I think Kelly's earned this like 5 minutes of going through right now and doing this. If that's cool, I want to see if we've locked it down into the science part. Kelly, could you make your screen big again? Did I fuck up something?
I can increase the size.
It's still.
Do you feel like you're stepping into your voice now, multidimensional psychology?
Yeah, the first part was the only part I had a little bit of. I mean, I get what you're saying. I can write more kind of straight. The way you're describing it, you want me to write more straightforward, and I can.
But you're already doing it more naturally now, and yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is her story. Did she was revealed revealed the line above that? Go above. Okay, great. And see how simple that is? You got to simplify. That's what we're doing now.
Yep.
Okay, read.
9 years ago, while staying in a motel in San Francisco while visiting from England, I experienced this really weird thing. I arrived at the motel lobby around midnight. The room was on the second floor overlooking the courtyard and the lobby's back door. While going up to the room, I heard a child cry and adults shouting. I carefully listened to the screaming. It came from a place on the first floor, so I approached the door to see if I could help in any way. As I approached the door where the screaming was coming from, the screaming suddenly stopped. So I went up to my room and attempted to sleep. As I fell asleep, I suddenly felt these fingers brush up against my head and the pillow. I jerked up and turned on the TV because I felt freaked out. An eerie feeling and presence surrounded me in the room. I tried to ignore it and eventually fell asleep with the help of the distraction of the TV.
I like the distraction of the TV line. It still feels a little clunkster. Suddenly.
What parts do you think I should take out, or?
I'm going to just look it out, see if Harlan comes up anything. Well, I got to look at it. Maybe Harlan sees something.
All right.
What was I going to say? I just lost myself, and I knew it. And,
Uh-oh.
and this chunked me up last time. And I said it chunked me up, Kelly. I don't know if you remember that.
Yeah.
Going up to the room, I heard a child cry and adults shouting. I carefully listened to the screaming. It came from a place. The screaming. There's 3 screamings. You got to change it.
Shouting.
The shouting, yeah. The eerie shout suddenly stopped. How about that?
Okay.
Fucking let her say the word eerie.
The
This
room
is
is
like
on.
this is like Edgar Allan Poe shit going on now, you know? And then you need like the superhero multi-dimensional psychologist to come help them become a superhero.
Yeah.
Man, you create an intense scene here. It's just a little repetitive. I want you to see if you have 3 screamings, there's a problem. You know it.
Yeah.
If there's 2 tech companies and 2 paragraphs, there's a problem. You're not editing at 90%.
Yeah.
You're in the editing phase of this. Oh, thank God. This is my favorite phase, by the way. Okay. Child crying, adult shouting. I carefully listen to the scream. I
heard a child crying, adult shouting. Should I just put the eerie screaming suddenly stopped?
This is what I would do, honestly.
Yeah.
I arrived at the motel lobby around midnight. The room was on the 2nd floor. Around 11 a.m., I heard a child crying and adults shouting down the hall. It went on for hours, or went on for an hour and got violent. So I walked down, so I went down to check it out. As soon as I approached, I don't know this first story, second story. It's like we just get a little lost in the details here. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, get to the point of the story.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that they were on the 2nd floor and then she went down it's like, holy shit. I was at this hotel. It was on the 2nd floor. I heard screaming underneath us. It sounded like an adult and child. And as soon as I came down, it just stopped.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized there was no one in that room. But then when I went back upstairs and went to sleep, right? And then you nail it. Like you say, suddenly twice, screaming 3 times. So this needs editing, right? That's when we know there's bad writing. Like it needs edited.
Mm-hmm.
As I fell asleep, I suddenly felt these fingers brush up against my head and the pillow. I jerked up and turned on the TV because I felt, like maybe you could linger on that moment. It felt this way. So I suddenly felt these fingers brush. An eerie feeling and presence surrounded me in the room. Don't jerk to the TV yet. Let us have that moment.
Oh, put this in between.
Yeah. You gotta see, you're not telling a story. You're kind of spouting detail.
Yeah.
Tell a quick story. Boom. Everyone will go through this. Like, I hope everyone's paying attention because this is a fallacy of sentence structure. Pay attention. It happens all the time. I do it too. You have to catch it in editing. As I fell asleep, you think you have to re-edit, and you're like, wait a second, I just put the wrong, that thing needs to go right next to this thing to build the suspense or to create the flow. As I fell asleep, I suddenly felt these fingers, an eerie feeling and presence surrounded me in the room. I jerked up and turned on the big TV because I felt freaked out. Okay, yeah, maybe build a little more suspense, and that could be simplified, and you could build that feeling moment a little longer, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's our moment of, holy shit, spirits are real. Like, that's the Michelangelo moment of like God and human coming, and there's a charge, and this is ultimately the moment you're going to have to help heal. Mm-hmm. Along with the psychologist. It's kind of like a 2-fold 1-2 punch on this person's life. Backed with things they were feeling from when they were kids, All right, let's go down further. Could what she experienced be a ghost? Was it her imagination? She continued. Did she experience a ghost? Was it her imagination? She continued. I like to listen for more clues because it sets you up like the gums. You're figuring it out, I like more you but here it works for me.
Okay.
Did she experience a ghost? Was it her imagination? How about that?
Okay. Did she experience ghosts? Was it her?
So I think really you're on simplification training right now. Would you agree?
Yeah, sounds like it.
Are you paying attention so we can have you edit this over the week?
Yeah.
I listened for more clues. She continued. In the morning, I began packing my luggage to check out by 11 a.m. I still felt that eerie presence. Okay, we have eerie twice, but I don't mind because she's speaking. And it brings it back. However, the sun was out, so I felt safer and some relief as I put makeup on. I looked for my green eyeshadow and my makeup. Kept searching dead. So I heard the phone ring and saw the lights of the room. Oh, I hate this. I hate this scene, man. I can feel it. I love it. I love it so much, Kelly. You built it. Good. I'm getting payoff. Harlan, this is how you build a story. And he's using active verbs to do it. I picked up the phone wondering who would call me at this hello, but strangely no answer, just horrible breathing on the other end. How about that? Or something. Like, what if there was a response, but some horrible, like, there was no voice answer, but a horrible too cliche, Kelly?
Maybe.
Okay, I hear you. I think you need to create that paragraph. I hung up the phone because we're getting into, yeah, I like more paragraphs, don't you?
Oh, create a new paragraph here.
Yeah, you could keep it if you want, but let's go down. Okay, you have to indent. I hung up the phone and immediately went to the front door of the room. I needed some sun. No way, dude. I hung up the phone and immediately went to the front door of the room. Put yourself in this person. I had to get sun. I felt scared. I needed some sun as it was a bit dark inside. Dude, the fucking phone's ringing. Like you got to feel your scene, okay?
Yeah.
I don't mind. I hung up immediately and shot out to the, whatever, and shot outside, like scared, you got to, like, give us that energy.
Gotcha.
I slammed the phone shut and, like, shot outside the motel, like, scared, practically running around the parking lot, something like that. Practically something in the parking lot, because then it becomes very real, details. As I looked out, so put that in there. I'm going to continue reading on. You figure out how you want to write that sentence.
Okay.
Yeah, it needs simplified. So, Kelly, do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay, so, I'm trying to give you...
And then just put myself more in the moment.
Yeah. You know what I'd almost say for you?
What?
Is wait for this until you're in a really good mood. Start writing your next chapter if you haven't already. Or write your outline. I think you write your outline.
Yeah.
A few steps and speak it into a voice recorder so we don't have this problem so much. You're really close. And then I think when you're in a good mood this week, chop it off, man. Just finish this. I want every sentence to flow. When you read a paragraph like that, you're going to see it now.
Yeah.
You're not writing too flamboyantly anymore. That's gone. It's just you got to simplify that language. 90% passing.
Okay.
But I think you're about there, and I think by next week I should be editing that chapter. But you got to do this. You have paid attention to active verbs like a master. You really have. Honestly, I think you're writing better than I do probably sometimes. So, like, all your language or styles clicking in, all we've got is simplification. You got a great story. I even think you're probably through the harder bits, because once you get into the science stuff, it went pretty flowy, didn't it?
Yeah, it's easy for me.
Yeah, give us our extreme significance, our extreme cost in that first chapter of when you don't do it and when you do. Okay?
Okay.
All right, so we got your homework is quite simple. You're going to edit the simplicity into that chapter and, like, outline chapter 2 and speak it into a voice memo. Agreed?
Sounds good.
Okay. Joshua is going to call up let's bring Joshua up for one final call. And you're going to do 90% mastery on hours in editing, right?
Are you talking to Joshua or?
Oh, for Kelly. He thought he was
Yeah.
a 90% on that chapter. I want to see a 90% next week, okay?
All right.
All right. All right. Now, Joshua, let's just check in. You're going to cry some more. Like, I hope all the boys here. Like, honestly, I think that's the most important thing you can do right now.
Yeah.
Like if we could all just give you a big old hug and you cry a lot, I think you're doing a lot of your homework.
Yeah.
You know, I want to take it easy on you. Set a time to go to the 420 gym. If they're still building it and it's not open, great. If it's just opened, great. Set that time, and I would say look at your table of contents, and by next week, I want to look at it with you like an inner 7-year-old that smokes pot and does peak performance things with you. And we're going to look at your chapters, and I want you to put what are the action people, types of people you want to kick off that idea, philosophy, breakthrough thing. Agreed?
Yeah, I like that.
So you don't even have like writing as your homework except that table of contents. And that's to really sit with it and have fun with yourself and be like, shit, man, what would be the coolest book of all time? You know, if I'm really stepping up to the level and I wanted that, fuck yeah, for this chapter. Like, and for me, man, I would find some skydivers.
Yeah.
You know, but that's me. So I want you to find your fuck yes, and I'll help. And next week we'll go over that. Does that sound like good homework? Mostly crying.
Yeah. I mean, mostly like I've been letting the different processes happen. Like I already delineated between the channeled writing, the editing mode, and then there's also that research and talking to people mode, and then I can put them all together into this masterpiece.
Wonderful. So we don't have anything to read from you today, right? We're good there. Or do
If
we?
you'd like to, I can share.
Oh shit, share. Yeah, I'm sorry. We got a few more minutes. Let's throw it in. Let's
Okay.
at least look at like 2 paragraphs. Sorry, bro. I didn't know.
That's all right. Do you want me to screen share here?
Yeah, screen share. I know we gave you a lot of love at the beginning, but no, I didn't know you had that. All right.
Share screen.
And while you're doing that, Kelly, I want to be a little angel and devil over both your shoulders in the next week, in your ear saying, is that sentence 90% perfect? Is that paragraph? All right.
Sounds good.
Joshua Reed.
Where are we?
Oh, yeah. Like no more lazy sentences.
All right, so you see my chapter 1 here?
Yeah, I already love it. I love the first sentence. Read on, Christian warrior, soldier.
Cool. For the modern day warrior, life often feels like the 9th inning. Bases loaded. Everything depends on our success. Take the kids to school, close this deal, buy this item. Whatever it is, each action is a slice of our sword. Each action conveys warriorship emotion, strengthening our resolve or test our limits. Every movement we make pushes us closer to the idealized version of ourselves. This reveals true dedication to a life well lived. Dedication to movement, power, deliciousness. Each decision reinforces the commitment to excellence upon which a warrior's life is founded. Through this commitment, we are untouchable and exist in a space beyond words. We are protected, not only by our own killer instincts, but also by a family-like community who loves us, by all those who are invested in our happiness.
Okay, let's stop. I'm going to ask one simple question. We're going to use the editing thing. Harlan and Kelly, what is this about? What is like the critical point being made in this thing that we could take away of?
Come on, Kelly.
Come on, Harlan.
I want to hear what you say so I can rip off of that. Well, and I guess both of us kind of just being like, it's a little vague. Is that right? Come on, Kelly, you're the more.
You know what happened?
I don't want to be too harsh.
I'll be honest. I was with you, Josh, and then I don't know what happened. Like near the end, I lost track of where I was at. But like the beginning, I was totally with you, actually.
I was so with him in the beginning too. I was like, "Oh my God, he's gonna nail it!" I mean,
Yeah,
like,
that's
you
what
know,
I thought too. I'm like, oh, this is really good. This is it. And then I don't
Wait
know
a second,
what happened.
and
I
it
spaced
derails.
out.
It derails. It does.
But wait, you know, this may be the case. This is just more of a joke. That, you know, like you say with, you know, what happened to the Deadhead when he ran out of pot? This music sucks. Maybe if we were all high, maybe we'd be totally like, whoa, and that's why we're not getting it. It was a joke. Okay. Let's be constructive here.
Well, yeah. And the first constructive thing is I threw it to you guys, and we don't know what it's about. It's vague. You know, I'm just going to be real with you guys. This is like mastery school. This isn't baby school. Now, Joshua, what is your point of that first paragraph so we can course adjust here?
The point for me is that this is kind of like identifying the reader. So this is basically giving the reader an opportunity to say, you know, I identify as a warrior, or I aspire to be a warrior, and I aspire to progress, I aspire to movement. So they can basically self-select and say, this sounds like me, or this is not something I relate to.
I think you're missing the most important part. And we talked about this already at the beginning of this call. What is it missing?
Well, like I said, I'm going to go through the whole thing afterward and say, how does this apply to peak performance in cannabis?
It's missing pot. I think you need to put pot in a fun way in this first line. Like, I was so in, like, bases loaded. I feel like it's bases loaded and 2 outs and this in my life. It's always at that edge.
Right.
And if you brought me there in that balance of, like, peak performance and also got struggling with this has happened, and you want to get to that next level, well, you know, and one thing that makes you survive it all and hit the next level or go down in flames, it could be the greatest gift or the worst one on the planet, pot. You know, if you did it that way, like, this will get you to the gods or it'll get you to hell. I think that would work. But I'm not sure where you're going. You really lost me. Like, I was in too, like, bases loaded, yeah, man. And then I wasn't sure where you really were taking us, or you're giving these, like, I think letting your story start on an adventure might help with this. Like, if you go to the gym and put it into a story form with the guy leading the way.
Yeah. And that's already what I plan on once I have that material.
Well, let's go further down and see what we got. Can you keep reading?
Sure. So the last thing I talked about was killer instincts, family, like community who loves us. Then I say, sound accurate for you, or perhaps too good to be true? The difference between the true warrior and the aspiring warrior is not just the external results, but the confidence or the battlefield within. Are the inner systems being run by the old paradigm, the worn-out ways, the unconscious and toxic patterns we can't seem to shake from our daily habits?
I think that's pretty good. It could be jazzed up a little bit, but that type of writing, that's getting pretty strong. You're not using too many to be verbs. That actually had a lot of clarity to it. It had extreme value. So just as even like kind of a practice run of seeing about writing, I think that last bit was pretty good, to be honest. Can you go again?
Continue.
Yeah.
It's not just you, trust me. We were all born into this. The truth is, we live in a sick society. Our cultural preferences are literally mentally ill. Our systems are defunct. We're looking at new methods in every industry, from transportation to money to health. from business management to marketing, everything is being revamped. Maybe you don't like is being. The
Well,
work,
I think it's very negative, and you might want to start off peak awesomeness and then talk about the crappiness. Like, this is pretty negative for a guy talking about peak performance and Warriors discipline. And I can make a perspective that the culture is completely aligned to do your divine will and create awesomeness if you're aligned with that. And if not, you're going to be crybabying about Trump and hating your life, you know? So to me, it's just not quite pot and peak performance-y again. But I do like the extreme problems that you're agitating. Like, that's a good skill to have.
I mean, that's kind of the order I do things in, is like the agitate the problem before I get the solution.
But to me, you're being a little bit like, we live in a sick society. Let's see. Do you agree, Harlan? Do you agree, Kelly?
Just depends, I guess.
I think it depends on your perspective.
Yeah.
And where you're at. So it tells me a little bit about the author. Like, I'm not sure. I believe in law of attraction and things. So it's just something I'm pointing out to you about it. Maybe start with the peak stuff sometimes. But also you're
I mean, my whole point is that there's a lot of momentum in society that is, disempowering. And the whole point of peak performance is reclaiming our empowerment.
God, I think you're kind of right about this research and development, though. It sounds pretty interesting. It has its hiccups in experimentation. We fail often. We fail forward. We fall as quickly as possible in order to move into the next failure and then we actually get confidence and capacity.
Yeah.
And, I think embracing, in some ways, I think you could set up the book like this, is like, really, I think you missed the point, which is you were doing all these topics, and I think it really is like, life can suck, and it can suck with pot. Life can be awesome, and it can be awesome with pot. And you kind of have these roads to take, and the Warriors' discipline to adhere to. But maybe this is you going on a journey where there are failures, and you have a little more humor in it. And you do I love this idea of you doing, the book is kind of research and development, where you go on adventures yourself, and meet these people and do those things and see the failures. It gives a sense of an adventure when you can fail. So I like this R&D thing that you're kind of coming onto here. Identify ourselves as members of speeches as well. We have taught, we teach. Yeah, I kind of feel like if you went to the gym and talked to the dude and then wrote the first thing with that kind of story, this voice would change a bit,
And this would just have something to apply to, so that you're not completely stuck in the model world, but you actually have some kind of experience to which this applies.
I think you're right. And in a way, maybe that's the big overall theme. If I could pull one that was unexpected from today, Joshua, now that you say that, is like, we all need a hook for the beginning. We all need a story. Like, Kelly's actually maybe doing the best because, well, one, he's doing active verbs and showing up, but it's not about that. He has a story, a hook. They come in, this woman's nervous, life's been sucked. Oh my God, there's this ghost story. And then, multidimensional psychology. And then we look at the world. If you had one story like that to hook us into the book, probably get us pretty far. And it would give you that excitement and energy and clarity of style. So like I said, if I were in your shoes, I wouldn't necessarily write too much right now, but you can. I would set up that appointment with the gym guy and work on that table of contents so we can set your journey of doing this. I would love to see one article done.
Yeah, I mean, this kind of helps me know what it is that I'm doing. Just writing like this gives me I tend to work a little bit backwards, where I just get the model really clarified so that I know what to fill it in with.
I hear you. I'm a lazy writer. I don't do artist pages and stuff. I'm like really like the time I'm there, I want to get it done, and then I want to go do something else. But
Uh-huh.
I can really appreciate that approach. Okay, so yeah, keep experimenting with that. We'll keep looking at that stuff. But I think right now you have some tangible things to do.
Yeah, that feels good.
Okay, so good. We got Joshua. The tangible ones I want from him next week is.
Although, yeah, keep in mind the cannabis GM is in San Francisco, and I'm not going to be in the Bay Area for a bit.
Oh, where are you?
I'm going to be in LA.
Oh, all right. There might be something cool in LA. Look it up. If you're gonna
I'll see. But I know that the San Francisco one is the first one like in the world. So.
Yeah, but LA's cooler.
I mean, I don't mind it in LA. I just don't think there's the same option.
Okay.
But
Well, your mission is to set an appointment, okay?
Yeah.
Or at least investigate and have that table of contents. Kelly is a perfect 90% chapter. No saying it's 90%. It's going to be 90% this time. Harlan is going to do his best to give us a probably whale opener, right? Is that right, Harlan? First time?
No, that was just something that crossed my mind. I just have to, obviously get the opening of the chapter, and I just have to go through the whole chapter, expand on point. I've got a lot to do. Get rid of all those passive, verbs, and try to make a more engaging flow. I mean, come on. I can actually remember as a little kid, like learning to ride a bicycle, was first with training wheels, and then like with my dad running behind me to keep me from tipping over. That's what I feel like right now with writing. I'm like really shaky.
Yeah.
I just gotta like, not fall off the bicycle right now. We're not going on like a real bike trip yet, I'm working.
You will not get hurt. You will not get hurt.
Up to start trying to get a voice and a way to write engaging and get rid of those passes. I'm learning. So just wish me luck. And like 12, let's shoot for the 12 hours this week at least. And that'll be great. 12 hours, fine tune the stuff,
Well, you know what I'm more interested in a bunch of hours? I'm interested in you thinking about like backing up and thinking like an agent. Don't think like Harlan for a bit. Think like
also that's like, okay. Sorry,
Johnny meets Harlan, like a literary agent, because you know what's going to sell. You see it with everyone else. You have a little harder time with yourself, like everybody. But Harlan, this is your one like a couple assignments. One is you're going to read the Emerald Modem before you sit down and write. 2, you're going to outline. 3, maybe you do it into a voice recorder first, and you got to go deeper now. And 4, and this may be the most important one, you need to give us an entry point into this amazing universe of sound, not a generic one, So I gave you one, dude. Aboriginal songs of creation, that would work really well. You didn't like that one. You offered a whale one that sounded pretty cool. But you got to find something, I think, because otherwise it's very book reporty right now.
Yeah. All right.
So I want you to find that hook. Like more than writing 20 pages, if you wrote a good 3 to 5 paragraph, like wonderful story in the sound to open that up and show us how you're going to do this book. Like, and then maybe that's what you do for each chapter is you just give one amazing example of this that excites you. Like teach me something cool about sound through an amazing example in nature, in science, in history. I don't know. Aboriginal songs. Do you have any hint of what that might be, or you got to feel into it?
No, anyway. Well, in the big picture of things, rather than anyway, that you were talking. Yeah, no, I don't have a hint, and I'll have to just flesh that out. I just have to keep a positive. I get a little overwhelmed and a little negative, like this relating back to your whole yang energy. I feel a little bit emasculated, and I feel like things like with I just have to keep a really sort of like the very beginning of this whole session. Why to be really positive? Why 50 reasons that I'm the only one that can do it, and just keeping positive. I get a little overwhelmed and a little hard on myself. That makes it difficult for me to move ahead.
Yeah, but you know what? Like, and you're working through it. Like you are. I hear you. And it's a big steps. Kelly's gone through it too. His writing sucked at the beginning of this. It really did. Sorry, Kelly.
And also, I mean, I don't want to go too much into it, but just in general, it's not like all of my work that I'm doing is being that well received. It's not like and so it's hard for me to keep a really positive gung ho. Yay, I'm doing great. Yay, I love what I'm doing. Yay, this all this. It's like I feel very sidetracked and emasculated. And so it's really hard for me to get that really positive like yay. So. That's a big struggle for me.
Well, it might be time to get passionate. Might be time to get angry. Might be time to throw a few punches in the air, Harlan. Might be time to like get in your cock a little bit because
that's what I'm.
You want. That's what you're saying. You want it.
Well, I do and I don't. I'm really hard on myself, and I'm really feeling, like who am I to try to do this and write this? And I don't know how to write. I don't. Who cares about what? I get really negative. And I don't want to go into too much about that.
Okay, well, your mindset, I have a homework to you. I want you to tell Esther what I said about mindset and say to her that I asked her to help you or that, like, you would like help. Say, Esther, I'm supposed to do this with Johnny. Be positive. I'm committing. Can you just help me if I say something? Because then you'll have a partner holding you accountable,
Yeah.
You got to do this now, Harlan. And look, it's not about you and just the portals. This is about sacred geometry. It's about bigger titles than you. It's about more than the portals.
About the new earth.
It's about the new earth and sacred technologies. Like, if you just wrote this book for me, because I'm interested, but you got to make it cool. That was not fun to read.
And actually,
make it fun.
I have to say, part of your talk, which was really cool, was what I was going to call dangling the carrot. All the tours and the people you'll meet and the people that you go out there to see that ultimate end. A lot of times I feel like it's really important to see this book printed and here it is. And you're at the book tour and people are coming up to you and talking to you about it. And, that the carrot at the end to keep going, dangling the carrot out in front is a good one to keep inspired.
This is what I thought for you as a bet, just a bro bet, Harlan. Like nothing like course related. That's just like, can you throw down? You've been part of this movement for decades. Can you throw down? And if you do, and you finish this book, regardless of if we get it published, and I think we could totally get it published if you can when you learn how to write this. But what we can do is if you just do this at the end of this course, do you want to finish this book? 1 to 100, how much do you want to finish this book?
Yeah, you got to finish it.
Okay.
So I just so I can move on with my life, like close a chapter.
All right. You finish this book and nail it like a master. I will personally pull all my own cards for speaking engagements at Burning Man, and you maybe even know more than I.
Well, that I already do typically 2 a year, so that I've got going. But Burning Man. I want speaking engagements at real bookstores out in the real world. I want speaking engagements at universities. That is going to be the first time I speak at a college, university, art school, something like that. That's going to be huge.
Yeah.
Burning Man, Schmurning Man.
I hear you.
Might not even go back.
Good. I hear you. I've done with festivals. I think they're pointless.
Yeah.
But so let's just hold that. You want the book tours. I think you would like all the podcasts and radio interviews and stuff that come with the book.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, I did a good one with Michael Garfield. It hasn't been published yet, but we did it when we were in Arcosanti. I'm looking forward.
Isn't it fun? Now imagine ones that actually.
Especially Michael Garfield, man. I really feel like I nailed it. I feel like it was a really powerful interview. So looking forward to hearing that one.
So remember that. Remember why you're doing it, man. And you only have to do this once. No one's going to shoot you. Yeah. You're going to survive, but you have to throw down.
Okay, cool.
All right. Thanks. So this is what I want to say for you, Harlan. No pressure, but I want you to amaze us with your first part of your chapter next week. All
right. That's a good challenge, and it's a nice, simple, focused one. It's not like just get one little introduction and thing that is okay. I got it.
I mean, all your little introduction is a cool ass way to explain sound, vibration, and the nature of the universe. But good luck. All right.
Yes.
Well, guys, I think we did well. We're plowing through. I know it, and we're plowing through old belief systems too. but I've been through this labor journey. I never thought I'd get through it. Harlan's book isn't any worse than mine was. Nobody's here. Everyone's got a better title than me. Fuck you all. and I think we have a really good shot for everyone. I really do. 90% shot if you finish it and you actually are coachable. But you guys are seeing you get the results. Like Kelly's been really listening on those active verbs, and it's paying off. So we have this recorded if you want to check it out, but everyone's got their homework. Thanks again for showing up. This one went a little long, but I think we needed to go there. We had people missing for a couple weeks and stuff. All right, guys.
Okay, till next Thursday.
All right, guys.
Let me do a check-in. Okay, good seeing y'all.
Thanks, guys. If you need to check in, you hit me up. But later
Great,
after
thank
the
you.
week, I'm sick. All right. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay.